In this video, I'm going to be talking about the visual clarity differences between the original Oculus Rift CV1 and the newly released Oculus Rift S, specifically in the context of driving simulators and specifically doing a highly scientific test with Project Cars 2 at Monza. This video is sponsored by Antline Audio's Mod Mic Wireless. The Mod Mic Wireless features low latency, lag-free capture, full 16-bit 48kHz sound quality, dual mic modes, and 12 hours of battery with charge in use functionality. I've been using Mod Mics for over a year now. They sound great and they let me use my non-gaming headphones as gaming headphones. You can check out the Mod Mic website by clicking on the Mod Mic link in the description. Straight to the point for those of you that don't have much time, the Oculus Rift S has a significantly better screen than the original Oculus Rift CV1, especially in terms of clarity of image and sharpness. Now, it's worth saying as well that unfortunately the Oculus Rift S does not have IPD adjustments, so if you're looking at getting one as an upgrade, double check that your IPD, that is your interpupillary distance, the space between your two eyeballs or the centre of your eyeballs, double check that that is supported by the Oculus Rift S, because if it isn't, Facebook hate you and you might as well just bang your head against a brick wall. Now, the key other aspects pertinent to sim racing in terms of the actual lenses and the image clarity of the Oculus Rift S is that the vertical sweet spot is much better than with the original Rift. So it's a lot easier to get the headset on in the first place and have it be a nice sharp image, assuming you fall inside the IPD range for the S. And then you also notice that when you look around inside of the Oculus Rift S compared to the CV1, the image stays crisp much further out. So with the original Oculus Rift, say you wanted to look to the side or look at a dial or check a mirror or something, you had to move your head much further to look at it, because otherwise it'd be blurred. Whereas with the Oculus Rift S, you can generally just glance your eyes even to stuff that's pretty much in your periphery, and it will still be mostly sharp. It's not completely sharp all the way out, but it's a hell of a lot better than the original Oculus Rift. Now, in terms of the actual raw clarity for how far you can see into the distance, which of course is very important for driving simulators, because really if you're driving properly, you're looking into the distance, you're not looking at your hands. What we've done is we've gone to Monza here and we've driven up to the 50-meter brake board, which is the first brake board that has numbers on it, and then reversed backwards until that 50-meter board becomes a blur to the point where you can't really distinguish that it's a 5 and a 0. Like, you know there's two numbers there, but it's not clear. It's worth me pointing out that I've set the track details to maximum and the texture details to maximum, and this is clear midday, just to try and make it as clear as possible with the game. Obviously, you actually start to get to points here where texture, mapping, and optimizations in the game start to make the texture low quality. So this isn't an absolute test in terms of what is the absolute distance, but it's a good test to see, in Project Cars 2 at least, in this scenario, the Oculus Rift CV1 clarity versus the Oculus Rift S clarity. So you can see here that we've reversed away, and basically this is as far back as we can go before we lose clarity of those two numbers on the 50-meter brake board. Now, what you see in this video isn't the same as what I'm seeing in the headset. The video is better quality than the headset because it's not stretched over such a wide field of view, and there's a whole number of reasons. It looks worse in the headset than it does in the video, so don't ever use a VR video to determine the quality of the actual screen in the headset. But you can see here, with the Oculus Rift CV1, we're about 80 meters or so away from the 50-meter brake board. You've got the 50-meter, then the 100-meter, and then we're kind of just before the 150-meter brake board, which is sort of behind us and above our head. Switching over to the Oculus Rift S, and you immediately notice, going side by side, that the clarity jump is it's actually quite significant. I was saying sort of 20-25% before in my live stream. It's really hard to quantify. It probably is 20-25%, but there's just a threshold that it passes, and probably due to just the nature of the subpixels. One thing you actually notice is that you start to be more aware of aliasing and just the bitty detail of a simulator. So you can already see here when reversing out that we're now actually getting to the 150 meter. I think we move it forward a little bit because I'm trying to be as fair as possible between the two headsets, literally getting it so that I can see that 5 and that 0, not in perfect clarity, but so I can see the 5 and the 0 like it's legible that it's a 5 and a 0, if a tiny bit blurred. Worth pointing out, last time I had my eyes checked, I've got better than 20/20 vision, so you know I don't know what it's equated to, but you know my eyes are supposedly perfectly fine. So you see there we're just beyond the 150 meter board. Of course, the 50 meter board denotes 50 meters, so that's actually about 110 meters or so versus 80 meters or so, I would say, in terms of clarity for a sign that I guess is about half a meter wide. As a good sort of indicator, the 0 on the 50 meter board, where I'm sat in that radical right now with the Oculus Rift S, I could, if I had a gun in the car, which most radical SR3 drivers do, especially the American ones, I'd be able to aim and shoot into the whole of that 0. You know, it wouldn't be ambiguous to get it on target, assuming my aim wasn't terrible. Outside of that sort of far distance legibility of the breakboard, you definitely notice that you can, in terms of high clarity, super crispness, everything in the cockpit is you don't perceive the screen door. It's basically perfect resolution to your eye resolution, effectively, and then you get that to about 15-20 meters in front of the car, of it being essentially pin sharp, which lets you see like little floor details, brake scuffs and stuff, road textures, way better than you can on the original Rift. Whereas with the original Rift, the cockpit is sort of like 90% there in terms of pin sharpness. But, you know, by the time you get to the actual dials on the dash, in this case, the numbers, they're legible on the original Rift, but the really small ones are very blurry. But with the Rift S, you can see all that, and it's nice. And then with the original Rift, you've got like 5 or so meters, 10 meters in front of the car, maybe, where the road is very clear, but then it diminishes very quickly. So in conclusion, I think it is fair to say that the Rift S is a significant visual quality upgrade over the original Rift, specifically for driving simulators, especially with the general utility and comfort added on top of that. But of course there's that IPD adjustment issue, and then there's also the sound, which is god awful. With this Megane Trophy car, it's completely blowing the speakers. You turn it down, but you're losing so much depth from the sound. Like skid sounds might be drowned out, or just immersive sounds. Going back to the quality as well, the ghosting, or the sort of god rays and the lens artifacting from the game is a lot less pronounced. Probably due to the LCD panel being less contrasty than the OLED panel. So personally, I think it's a totally worthwhile sacrifice, because you notice the lens is less and you get more immersed visually without being reminded that you've got a VR headset. Combine that with the comfort and everything else, that helps hugely for general immersion. Would I get rid of my Rift on eBay and get one of these as an upgrade? I think I would, to be honest. I would probably wait for a new sound solution or some kind of clip-on sound solution that works well. There's some people coming up with aftermarket, like custom ones. Maybe Oculus will have something that they're doing. I think they've said they probably are. The only contradiction to that would be if you also use your headset for stuff like Onwards, Pavlov, FPS games, because there's some issues with the hand tracking when you're using dual-held guns. So if you play Sims and do other stuff, then I would probably look at, you might have to get a Valve Index or just some other headset. But for people coming new to it, if you were just starting off now, then yeah, this is a really fantastic initial VR headset for driving and flight simulators. You know, out of the box, easy to set up, really good value for money. It makes sense. It is, as far as I'm concerned right now, of all the headsets I've tried, it's the best value for money, comfort, quality VR headset on the market, and probably the most likely to work well with simulators. One of the really nice things with Oculus, mostly because they were one of the first headsets to market, is that the games support their drivers and do it really well. The asynchronous space warp is particularly good with the Oculus Rift, and I find it works better than the Steam VR reprojection that we previous used with the HTC Vive and the Vive Pro. It's not perfect when it kicks in. You want to be hitting those frame rates, but when it does, I find it less intrusive to the gameplay. So yeah, it looks like this is the best value for money VR solution to really experience driving simulators in VR, and it will totally blow you away. I've been doing VR since the DK1, so it's all kind of normal to me. It's a bit normalised. I expect this kind of amazingness. But if you tried this for the first time, you're going to pee yourself. I mean, my first time the DK1, I peed myself, and that was like 1 pixel by 1 pixel. It was just like cubes coming at my face whilst I could hear a car driving. So I really hope this video helped sort of quantify that difference in quality. To be clear again, you can't tell from the video footage what it looks like in the headset. You're just going to have to trust this bold git with what he says. If you want to support the channel, of course you can click the like button. Of course you can also subscribe and click that bell. But we also have an Amazon affiliate link both USA and UK. If you buy one of these headsets, if you click that link first, then I get some money to spend irresponsibly on tea bags and keeping the channel running. So yeah, look out for us on our next live stream, which will be very soon, and other VR content. Feel free to ask any questions or anything you'd like us to cover with VR, with this headset, and I'll try and answer them as soon as possible. But until the next one, guys, thanks for watching this. Happy sim racing, happy VRing, happy tea drinking, and goodbye.